Humanity had waited for this day for almost a decade. Ever since the Voric dominion appeared in the outer systems, everyone on Earth lived with fear and doubt. No one knew if the Voric came for peace, power, or destruction. Some leaders believed the aliens only wanted resources. Others feared the Voric wanted to control every world they saw. But in the middle of all this confusion, Earth still tried to be peaceful. Ambassador Leon Hale was known as the calmest man in the United Earth Alliance. He had negotiated peace between nations that once hated each other. He believed that the universe did not need war to understand humans. He always said the same line, "If we speak with respect, we will receive respect." So when the Voric finally agreed to a diplomatic meeting, humanity chose him. The entire world watched as he stepped onto the small shuttle in his white diplomatic uniform. The cameras zoomed in on his quiet smile. His voice was steady. He said he believed in peace, even if others did not. He said he would represent humanity with honor. Many people around Earth cried that day, because hope felt real. When the shuttle left Earth's orbit, everyone held their breath. The Voric flagship was massive, 5 times the size of any human battleship. It was black, cold, and silent, like a floating mountain in space. The Voric were known for strength, not kindness. But they had agreed to the meeting. That alone felt like a miracle. When Ambassador Hale entered their ship, the last thing he said was, "I will return with good news." After that, the connection went silent. The Voric shut down all communication channels. They said it was part of their process. They told Earth to wait. So humanity waited, for hours, then for days. Every news channel, every radio, every screen on Earth talked only about one thing, the Envoy. People did not sleep. Children asked their parents if peace was coming. Soldiers hoped they would not have to go to war. Scientists held their breath, believing that the ambassador's calm words might change everything. Humanity stood on a thin line between future and destruction. But as more time passed, the silence grew heavier. Even the United Earth Council began to feel worried. The Voric had a cold history. They never respected the weak. They believed only in strength. If they saw kindness, they sometimes saw weakness. And if they saw weakness, they crushed it. Still, Earth hoped. Until the Voric sent a message. It arrived without sound, without emotion, without warning. A single transmission, a cargo pod, drifting from the Voric flagship. At first, people thought it carried documents or peace terms. The world gathered once again. Everyone expected the doors to open to something good, something hopeful. The pod landed on Earth's orbit station. Technicians approached it slowly. The room was silent. Even breath was loud. The metal door hissed open. Inside, lay Ambassador Leon Hale. Or what was left of him. There were no words for what the Voric had done to him. His uniform was torn, his body broken. The injuries told a clear story, he had been tortured. Not quickly. Not in anger. But slowly, with cold intention. The wounds showed the Voric wanted to send a message. A message written in pain. When the image reached Earth, people screamed. Mothers covered their children's eyes. Soldiers clenched their fists. The council collapsed in shock. And the entire planet went completely silent. For the first time in history, humans did not argue. They did not blame each other. They did not fight among themselves. Instead, they felt one emotion, one powerful storm inside every heart. Not fear. Not confusion. But something deeper. Something older. Humans had come from fire, storms, and survival. Their story was written in struggle. And when someone hurt one of their own, something inside humanity awakened. Something that slept until moments like this. Humanity did not break. Humanity hardened. Across Earth, across colonies on Mars and Europa, across every space station and outpost, people stood up at the same moment. They looked at the broken body of the man who carried their hope, and they felt a heat rise inside their chests. The Voric thought they sent a warning. They did not understand what a warning meant to humans. Human engineers ran toward their labs. Commanders returned to their bases. Pilots prepared their ships. Families hugged each other with tears but also with fire in their eyes. Humanity had asked for peace. They had bent over backward to avoid war. But the Voric had made their choice. They had rejected humanity's kindness and answered with cruelty. They believed humans would kneel. They believed humans would surrender. They believed this broken envoy would end Earth's spirit. They were wrong. Very wrong. In the silence of the council chamber, the Earth commander finally spoke. His voice was low, steady, sharp. They wanted us to fear them, he said. They wanted us to fall. He looked at the image again. Instead, they have united us. And at that moment, the galaxy changed forever. Humanity would no longer wait. Humanity would answer. The narrator ends the hook with one final line. That day, the stars watched humanity wake up, angry, united, and unstoppable. Far below the council tower, deep inside Earth's military zones, ancient doors began to open. Massive hangars that had been sealed for decades shook as their locks disengaged. Inside were projects that were never meant to be seen by the galaxy. Project Iron Dawn, a defense plan so powerful it had been shut down because governments feared it. Project Horizon, a secret engine design capable of outrunning any known alien ship. Project Tyrant, Earth's first experimental railgun battleship, one so strong that its test shot had carved a canyon through an asteroid. All these projects came alive again. Scientists who once worked quietly now moved with fierce urgency. They checked engines, activated shields, and welded plates of armor thicker than city walls. The military factories began to hum louder than any city on Earth. Sparks flew. Metal clanged. Workers wiped sweat from their brows and pushed harder, faster, stronger. Humanity was preparing for something the galaxy did not expect. In Mars Colony 12, Commander Rhea Kessler trained her soldiers. Her voice was sharp, her movements strict. She told the troops, "You are not fighting for glory. You are fighting for the man who carried our hope and was killed for it." The soldiers repeated her words like a vow. Even ordinary people joined the mission. Farmers donated fuel reserves. Miners offered rare metals needed for ship armor. Engineers volunteered to leave their families and board warships. Mothers hugged their sons and daughters, knowing they were sending them into danger but unable to stop them. Humanity had become something the galaxy feared, united with purpose. Meanwhile, in the outer system, human scouts watched the Voric border. The Voric ships moved slowly, arrogant and careless. They believed they had already broken Earth. They believed humans were too emotional, too fragile, too desperate to resist. Their commanders joked about the envoy. They believed the message had worked. They had no idea what was coming. Back on Earth, Commander Eric met with the Science Division. Dr. Marin Voss, an older scientist with trembling hands, activated a hologram displaying a massive ship blueprint. The room glowed blue with its shape. "This," she said softly, "is the HMS Vindicator." The name alone gave chills. The Vindicator was not a warship. It was a symbol. A nightmare for enemies. Its hull was layered with human-developed nanometal. Its railgun was capable of firing a projectile at a speed so fast, it blurred through reality. Its shield system was designed using old alien tech humans had recovered long ago, but improved to be 10 times stronger. Commander Eric looked at the blueprint with steady eyes. "When will it be ready?" Dr. Voss took a deep breath. It was ready the moment the envoy died. A heavy silence filled the room. "Then launch it," Eric ordered. Across Earth, news spread like lightning, "The Vindicator is rising." People cheered for the first time since the Envoy's death. Children climbed their rooftops and waved light sticks at the sky. Engineers cried with pride as the ship left its metal cradle. Every colony in the Human Alliance broadcast the launch. The engines lit the night sky like a new sun. It was not just a ship. It was a promise. A promise that humanity would not kneel. A promise that the Envoy would not be forgotten. A promise that cruelty would be answered with justice. As the Vindicator broke through the atmosphere and reached space, Commander Eric stood by the viewing window. His voice was quiet, almost a whisper. "This is not revenge," he said. "This is responsibility." He placed a hand on the glass. "For humanity." The HMS Vindicator did not move like a normal warship. When it entered deep space, it moved with a silent confidence, as if it already knew it would win. Its hull shimmered with a dark silver glow. Its engines burned like twin blue stars. Every sensor inside the ship felt alive, listening, scanning, preparing. Commander Eric Stone stood on the bridge. His posture was straight, his face calm, but his eyes were sharp. He remembered the Envoy's body with every heartbeat. He remembered the silent message the Voric had sent. He remembered that the Voric believed this ship would never rise. Now, the Vindicator flew at the front of a fleet of 20 human warships. The human defense fleet, once scattered, weak, unsure, had become something else, focused, disciplined, ready. The narrator explains that humans did not prepare for war because they loved fighting. They prepared because they refused to allow any more humans to be broken. They refused to let cruelty guide the future of their children. They refused to let the galaxy believe they would stay down. As the fleet crossed the border of Voric space, the first enemy outpost appeared. It was a giant metal tower planted on a lonely asteroid, guarding a small passage. The Voric soldiers inside laughed when they saw the human fleet approaching. They sent a message filled with insults, calling humans a soft race hiding behind diplomacy. Their laughter stopped when the humans did not answer. Humans did not waste words now. They only acted. Commander Eric studied the outpost calmly. "Target the stabilizer ring," he said. The ship AI responded, "Locked." "Fire." A white-blue railgun shot flashed from the Vindicator. It traveled so fast that space itself seemed to bend around it. The stabilizer ring, made from heavy Voric alloy, exploded instantly. The outpost lost balance and broke apart. A second shot sliced through the command center. The entire outpost collapsed in silence. The Voric had expected a warning shot. They did not expect an execution. When the Voric Empire received news of the destroyed outpost, their leaders did not feel fear. They felt insulted. They had always seen humans as weak. They believed the Envoy's torture would break Earth. They believed humans would beg for forgiveness. They were wrong, and they learned that mistake too late. The Voric High Warlord slammed his fist onto his throne. "Send the first strike fleet," he ordered. "Teach them the real meaning of fear." But fear did not belong to humanity anymore. Hours later, the first Voric fleet arrived. Their ships were dark green, covered in spikes and heavy armor. They carried weapons powerful enough to melt cities. They arrived in tight formation, blocking the humans' path like a steel wall. Commander Eric's officers tensed. But Eric didn't blink. "They are moving into slow formation," his second-in-command said. "They believe they can scare us." Eric watched the enemy ships on the screen. "Good," he said softly. "Then they are not ready." The humans did not wait for the Voric to speak. They had learned that words were useless with monsters. The Vindicator fired its railgun again, one single shot that ripped through the lead Voric cruiser. The alien ship burst into flames. Shockwaves of panic spread through the Voric fleet. They had never seen a human weapon tear through their strongest armor. The Voric returned fire immediately. 12 plasma cannons shot at the Vindicator. The blasts were bright, violent, deadly. But the human shields absorbed them like soft rain against a window. The Vindicator's shield glowed for a second, then held strong. "Shield stable," the AI said. A quiet smile touched Eric's lips. "Return fire." The human fleet unleashed everything: railguns, ion cannons, missile storms. The Voric ships shook under the unexpected assault. Their formations broke. Their lines collapsed. Their commanders shouted orders, but fear had already taken hold. Humans fought like a single living creature. Their ships moved with precision and purpose. Their weapons struck only where they needed to. They wasted no time, no shots, no chances. The Voric fired again, harder, faster, desperate. But nothing they did worked. Every strike bounced off the Vindicator. Every weapon failed. Every defense broke. In a matter of minutes, the first Voric fleet was torn apart. Some ships exploded. Some lost power and drifted helplessly. Some tried to escape, but the human warships hunted them down. The galaxy had always believed humans were emotional, dramatic, chaotic. But now, humanity fought with cold, controlled strength, strength born from unity, not rage. When the battle ended, the Voric survivors sent one final transmission. Their commander's face appeared on the screen, shaking with disbelief. What are you?" the Voric asked. Commander Eric stepped forward. His voice was quiet and calm, more terrifying than any scream. "We are the race that asked for peace," he said. "And you answered with cruelty. Now we answer back." The Voric commander stared in horror. Eric's eyes stayed on him. "This is only the beginning. Stand down before we reach your capital." The transmission ended. As the human fleet moved deeper into Voric space, the narrator speaks with a steady tone. The galaxy learned something that day. Humans do not start wars, but they finish them. Part 3 ends with the Vindicator turning toward the Voric homeworld, engines burning bright like a warning written in fire. The journey toward the Voric capital felt different from the earlier battles. There was no cheering inside the human ships. No celebrations. No loud voices. Instead, the air felt heavy and quiet. Every soldier, every officer, every engineer understood the truth. Humanity was fighting because someone innocent had been killed for believing in peace. Ambassador Hale's face was in their minds. His calm smile. His hopeful words. His belief that the universe could be better. Now, that belief had turned into a storm, one strong enough to shake galaxies. The Vindicator led the fleet like a silent judge. Its surface glowed with the light of distant stars. Behind it, the other human warships flew in tight formation, creating a wall of silver steel stretching across the darkness. As they entered the Voric inner systems, the enemy did something no one expected. They ran. Entire Voric defense groups abandoned their positions the moment they detected human signatures. Patrol ships scattered like frightened birds. Carriers sent distress calls to their commanders but received no answers. The Voric had never imagined they would feel fear. They believed fear was a weakness only other species had. But now, fear lived in their bones. The Voric High Council, once proud and loud, was now in chaos. Their screens filled with reports of destroyed outposts, broken fleets, and human weapons they could not understand. "How are they doing this?" one counselor shouted. "They were supposed to be weak. They came for peace, why are they fighting like this now?" "They were peaceful until you killed their envoy," another voice yelled back. The chamber broke into panic. Meanwhile, on the Vindicator, Commander Eric Stone stood in front of the main window. The Voric capital system finally appeared, a glowing world surrounded by giant battle stations and thousands of orbiting ships. Lieutenant Mara Quinn spoke softly beside him. "This is their strongest defense. They will fight here." Eric nodded. "They will try. The narrator explains that humanity did not want to destroy a world. Humans believed in justice, not in blind killing. But the Voric had crossed a line. One that no species was allowed to cross, not with humans. The Vindicator moved closer. Human ships spread out and activated their shields. Every cannon turned toward the enemy world, waiting for Eric's command. Instead of firing, Eric opened a transmission. His voice carried through every speaker on the Voric capital. "This is Commander Eric Stone of the Human Defense Fleet," he said. "We do not come to destroy you. We come to end your cruelty." Every Voric stopped what they were doing. Workers froze. Soldiers hesitated. Leaders stared at each other nervously. Eric continued. "You tortured an innocent man. You sent him back to us as a threat. You believed humanity would fall. You believed we would crawl." He paused. "You believed wrong." The Voric High Warlord finally appeared on screen. His armor was cracked, and his eyes were filled with fear he tried to hide. "You dare threaten the Dominion," he said, but his voice shook. Eric did not raise his voice. He spoke as calmly as the Envoy once had. "You already threatened us. Now you must answer for it." Before the warlord could speak, Eric pointed a finger at the capital's main defense station. "Vindicator," he said. "Disarm it. One shot. Just one." A railgun blast from the Vindicator struck the defense station. There was a flash brighter than lightning. The entire structure, something the Voric had spent centuries building, split in half and collapsed. The Voric stared in horror. Eric spoke again. "We do not want your planets. We do not want your resources. We do not want your surrender." He looked straight into the warlord's eyes. "We want justice." The Voric leaders trembled. Their hands shook. Their warships drifted without firing. "This is your only chance," Eric said. "Surrender your military command. Release all prisoners. End your cruelty forever." Silence. Every human ship waited. Every human soldier waited. The galaxy seemed to stop breathing. Finally, the warlord lowered his head. "We surrender." His voice was broken. The narrator continues. "And so, without destroying cities, without killing billions, humanity broke the mightiest empire in the region. Not with fear. Not with rage. But with controlled power and unshakable unity. Human ships landed peacefully on the Voric capital. The Voric soldiers placed down their weapons and fell to their knees. They expected punishment. They expected death. But humans did something the Voric never imagined. They helped them stand. Humans released captured alien civilians. They stored their weapons, not to conquer but to prevent future cruelty. They offered medical care to the wounded Voric. They told the Empire to rebuild, not under fear, but under order and fairness. The Voric saw a truth that burned deeper than any weapon. Humans were powerful, because humans had hearts. Humans could destroy, but they chose not to. Humans could punish, but they chose peace again. And that, more than any ship or any gun, scared the galaxy the most. When the fleet returned to Earth, no one cheered loudly. Instead, they stood in silence and saluted the image of Ambassador Hale. His sacrifice had reminded humanity who they were. A race that wanted peace. A race that fought only when pushed. A race that would protect each other until the end of time. The narrator closes the final part with a quiet, powerful line. The galaxy learned one lesson that day: never confuse human kindness with weakness. Because when humans rise, even empires kneel.